Kamala Harris is a proxy for this type of behavior.
What
Okay,
specific type of
she's in the
behavior?
same camp. She's
What
in the same
specific
camp
type
as
of behavior,
all
please?
these other racial grifters who supported the George
Okay.
Floyd nonsense. Okay, the
Yeah.
summer of love.
Wait, I'm
where
so
we
sorry.
just decided
Racial
we could just,
grifters think that murdering
yeah.
people because of their race is wrong? I guess I'm a racial grifter.
I'm sorry. What? When did I ever advocate for murder?
You just talked about George Floyd. He was murdered.
No, he wasn't. No,
Oh, really?
no reasonable person would believe he was murdered.
And
He
why
had a
is
lethal
that?
level of various drugs in his system.
That's
the
not
autopsy
true.
reports showed that he had numerous health issues to begin with. All those things cascaded into a major cardiac event for him. Okay.
And, so you just talked about the autopsy report. Do you agree that the autopsy report specifically stated that the level of drugs found within his system did not cause him to OD?
that is not what it said. There were lethal levels of various drugs. I'm not going to name them
That's
because
not
last time I
true.
did, I was banned on TikTok.
There were levels
But
of
yeah.
drugs in his system, and those were enumerated and quantified by the autopsy report. But the autopsy report went on to say that these drugs did not kill him. By the way, my evidence is not just the clear text of the autopsy report, but also the fact that his murderer was convicted and sent to jail. If the autopsy report specifically stated that the drugs killed him, it would have been the easiest slam dunk ever for Derek Chauvin's legal representation. But maybe you want to argue.
They were intimidated.
Yeah, maybe you want to argue that all the jurors were intimidated and they just, I don't know, ruled his guilt anyways. Well, then it would have been the easiest slam dunk in the first appeals court, or the second appeals court, or the third appeals court, or it would have been the easiest slam dunk with getting enough people to support a pardon for Derek Chauvin, because the findings of the autopsy report specifically enumerated that he died from an OD. But that's not true. The autopsy report stated that he did have multiple drugs in his system. However, these drugs did not cause him to overdose. And by the way, this is exactly why Derek Chauvin's legal representation inside of that courtroom never pointed towards the cumulative findings of the autopsy report to generate a statement of fact that George Floyd died from an overdose.
Do you not think that having a lethal amount of various drugs in your system, at the time of his death, and the fact that he had COVID and he had hypertension issues, this guy was not in good health, okay? Doesn't that point to reasonable doubt? And that's all that's needed in order to secure an acquittal, actually, according to the burden of proof.
And because you're wrong, an acquittal was not secured because he didn't have a lethal.
Well, no,
level
because
of
the
drugs in his
jury
system.
was wrong. They were incorrect. Okay.
Were the appeals courts wrong too?
Yes.
Oh, they were all wrong.
Yes.
Yeah.
I believe that Derek Chauvin was a sacrifice to the sort of the racial equity agenda. Essentially, they wanted to make sure that.
By the way, what are the big reasons
blacks
why
and communists wouldn't riot again and burn everything down again? They were scared of that. Yeah. And they allowed it to happen.
Can I tell you why not everyone agrees with you?
Go on.
Because some of us could actually read. We could read the autopsy report where it states that he didn't die from an overdose.
You didn't address as to whether that's reasonable doubt. You just said
but your claim hinges on a false premise of this being true. If you can listen. If you could read English,
what do you dispute?
Listen,
what fact do you dispute? Did he? Have
that he had a lethal level of drugs in his system. The autopsy report states in clear language that he did not die from an overdose.